Howdy gamers, Keith Hershey Jr. here again, and in this video we're going to go over virtual tabletops, what they are, some of the more common choices available, what to look for in how you should choose which is best for you. I can't tell you which one is best for you because only you know you and your player's playstyle. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and dive in. First off, what is a virtual tabletop? Okay, let's start off at, if you are a veteran of tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons or whatnot, usually all your players will play around a tabletop. Well, virtual tabletop puts that into that table, then becomes the internet. Think of the internet as now your tabletop. So I can jam from here in New Mexico with some of my friends that are still in California. I have some friends in England. I got friends on the East Coast in Delaware. I also have some friends in the Philippines, some down in South America, Argentina, even some friends up in Canada. So, normally, outside of virtual tabletops, we would not be able to play around the table because everyone is so spread out now. So, virtual tabletop allows us to play through the internet on a platform or a tabletop. There's a whole variety of different tabletops, and all have their pros and cons. Some have really strong features, and some are kind of featureless. Some of the features available is chat. Chat is one of the things you want to take a look at. Some are only chat-based, meaning you got to type on your keyboard what you're doing, what you're saying, and all that. Some are starting to integrate voice and video into the tabletop, so you don't have to rely on third-party programs such as Skype or Google. Although if you can handle running a tabletop and using Google in the background or Skype, you know, so be it. Okay. Some of the other features available is mapping. Some are strong based as far as mapping. Some are more intuitive as far as your character sheet. So those are a couple things to keep an eye on, depending on your playstyle. Once again, are you the type of players that like having miniatures and 3D terrain or looking at maps, or are you the type of players that use theater of the mind and everything is imagining? You know, so you got to keep that in mind when you're looking at your tabletops, so you can filter through them all. Currently, from what I've looked at currently, there's about 20 to 25 different tabletop programs out there. And there are new ones that are popping up all the time. This week alone, I found 5 new ones that I've never heard of that are up and coming. So, there's a ton of them coming out. And all the other ones are still working at making theirs even better, adding different features. So, just because you saw one particular virtual tabletop 3 years ago and it was crap, take a look at it. They may have fixed everything that you didn't like or improved it. So keep that in mind. Alright, so I'm going to break it down from here into the different pieces that you need to look at. And then we'll look at a couple choices. I'm not going to go through all of them, or else I'll be here for like 2 hours just going through all the different ones. Later on in the link below, I will leave a site by Hernan that goes over in great detail what are virtual tabletops, what to look for, and he has got a comparison, and he lists every single one of them down. So you can go through that later. Alright, first off, is most likely price is going to be the biggest thing on people's mind. Okay, is it going to be free? Is it going to cost anything? Some of the more common features, okay, there are just a few of them that are free. Some of them are free unless you want advanced features and whatnot. Some of them will tell you straight up, right off the bat, it's going to cost you a license. What is a license? A license lets you play one copy of that program on your computer. So you can't install the program on one computer and use that same program and send it to your friend and go, hey, connect up with me and let's play. No, he's going to have a separate license in order to play. There are some programs that will allow you to use a certain license and let people that don't have licenses to connect. It's something to keep in mind. Another thing with pricing, when you start looking, is you need to find out for you, are you going to be GMing or are you just going to be playing? Typically, if you're going to be the GM, it's going to cost you almost twice as much to get going as a regular player, because you got more tools at your disposal. Some other things to keep in mind as far as pricing, certain rule sets with different virtual tabletops will cost you extra on top of the program itself. If you are not tech savvy and you want your own tokens or miniatures, some places will charge for that. Some places will even charge for modules that are already ready to go. Say you got a favorite module and they have it in their store, but it's all the work's already been done, the maps, the tokens, everything, and it basically lets you come up with a game and you start. Some programs already have that available. Some require you as the DM to do a lot more work than you normally would with a traditional RPG. Just, like I said, some things to keep in mind. The next most important thing that I can't stress enough is you want to look at the community interaction of that program. Each one should have their own forums where they discuss new features coming out, places where you can post games so you can find players if you don't have enough, questions about how to use the program or tutorials and whatnot. You want to get in there before you buy it. You want to look in the forums, see how the community interacts. You might even just step in there and say, hi, I'm looking at virtual tabletops. Is there anything you guys can tell me about this tabletop? And some of them might be real friendly and go, hey, yeah, you can do this, this, and this. Some might go, hey, man, hop on, I'll give you some information so you can, they'll take you under their wing and kind of show you, Some you might get in there and look and you're like, wow, I don't see a post in like 2 years. Like red flag, get the hell out of there. Bye-bye. If you go to the forums and you haven't seen anything in at least a week as far as posts, if you go and look at the dates of when stuff's been posted, if you haven't seen a new post within a week, that's a big red flag saying, this might not be the one you want, because you don't want to buy into something and then it turns into vaporware or abandonware, basically, where the devs just abandon it because there's not enough people buying into it, So you want to find something that's going to stand the test of time, basically. Get your money's worth out of it if you're spending money on it. The next thing I would say is you need to know your technical level, but not just yours. You need to know the technical savvy of your friends and fellow players. Some programs require some technical know-how in order to make it work, as far as scripting and XML and whatnot. If those terms are foreign to you, or you have no idea, or coding and stuff like that scares you, then you need to keep that in mind when you're looking. You need to find out, is there any scripting involved and stuff like that. Because if you're not comfortable with that, you want to steer away from those. There are some of them out there that require some scripting and some knowledge in order to get it to do stuff you want it to do. Okay, the next thing, I think I briefly talked on it, is you and your players, are you theater of the mind orientated? Meaning, do you guys imagine everything in your heads? You guys just use voice, you roll dice and everything, but you don't use miniature terrain? Or are you the type of group that likes to look at tokens, or also known as miniatures, maps, 3D terrain? Because that's another important aspect that's going to tell you what program you want to get. Some of them, looking at the UI or user interface, basically it's the screen you look at and you interact with it, pressing buttons to roll dice and stuff like that. Some of you may look at some stuff and go, ooh, no. Some of you guys might want to look at something that looks really pretty. You can see maps. It's got where you can customize the color of your dice. You can roll the dice and see them bumping along like a regular dice, If that's something that you and your group want, you want to make sure when you're looking at virtual tabletops, you look at the aspects and the features. And another thing I put in here real briefly is, I don't know about you, but I have had some of those players that it seems like you can't trust them to roll the dice and give you an accurate telling you what you rolled, Here, I'm going to roll D20. Dude, I got a 20. Dude, I got a 19. I got another 20. 18. You know exactly the type of player I'm talking about. They never fail or whatnot. If you have those type of trust issues, that's another reason why you want to look at a virtual tabletop. A lot of them will actually put in chat when you roll the dice what you roll. So, you can't fudge those dice rolls. So, for some of you, it's important. Some of you guys have trustworthy players. You can stand by that. That's a decision you gotta keep in mind. Okay, so I've gone over a bunch of the key features you want to look at. Now, I'm just going to drop a few names of some virtual tabletops. Like I said, I'm not going to go through every single one of them because I'll be here for a couple hours. And I know you don't want to hear my voice for 2 or 3 hours. I'm not the most exciting person. Okay, so I'd say the biggest contenders, Fantasy Grounds. And I say Fantasy Grounds because that's the one I chose to use outside of Google+. And for those of you that have been watching for a while, also know I made up my own tutorial series to help me and my other players learn the system. So if that's a system you end up going with, look at my YouTube channel. I got player videos and GM videos that will break everything down. The next one I'm going to drop out there is D20 Pro. Oh, hold on. Let me back up, retract a little bit, go back to Fantasy Grounds. That one, it's a pay-to-use program for the most part, unless you spend the mega bucks as the GM and get an ultimate license, and then your players can connect with you for free and they don't have to drop it down. But it does cost money to get into that program. It's not a free program. Okay, moving on. D20 Pro. This is another paid program. It's another one that was, honestly, I almost went with D20 Pro. The deciding factor for me was the community interaction. You know, I got on the forums, I was looking at how active they were, and I did a little talking and, you know, checking it out. I got more response and was more helpful with Fantasy Grounds, and that's what persuaded me to go that direction. Next one I'm going to drop in there is map tools. This is another one that I strongly looked at back in the day. This one is totally free. You don't have to pay anything for map tools. But it takes some technical know-how. I mean, it wouldn't be a problem. I could get in there and figure it out. I'm a little technical savvy in that aspect. But a lot of my players are not technical savvy, and they would throw a fit if I were to try and get them to play with that. That's the reason I did not go with map tools, because they're technical know-how. Now, one thing they would have liked is it would have been completely free. So that's map tools. It's got some really strong features if you can get behind the technical know-how on it. Another one that's come up recently after I went with Fantasy Grounds is called Roll20. For the most part, it's free. It's not totally free though. It does have some advanced options that does cost money. It integrates with Google+, so that's cool. I haven't played with it though, but it does have a large user base, so you know it's not going to die away overnight. So that's a good thing. Okay. Now, I only went through 4, and like I said, there's like 20 to 25 of them out there. So when you're looking, don't just go for those 4. Go check out the link I'm going to put down below and look through the entire list. Do yourself that favor and at least check them all out, because there might be some things that you like more than others. I just went with those 4 because those 4, in my opinion, are the most used ones out there. Okay, now there's some new ones that are up and coming. One of the new things in virtual tabletops is making the maps and everything 3D. There's like 3 new ones that are coming out that are 3D. I really haven't checked them out. One thing that concerns me when you're talking 3D, okay, is going to be price. And the reason why I'm going to say this is, okay, Some programs, like if you have a map or something, you could just drag and drop it in there. Sure, it's only 2D, it's not 3D. But if you're talking 3D, finding maps that are 3D, it's going to be hard for you to find them. So, I don't know for sure, but I would almost bet those programs, it's going to cost you money for the maps, or it's going to cost you money for the textures to throw those down. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Because a lot of them are in Kickstarter right now. Another thing is your tokens or miniatures. I can just about bet they're going to charge you for packs of those miniatures. Where currently in the 2D type virtual tabletops, you can pretty much take any image you want and turn it into a miniature, and it doesn't cost you anything. Some of them, charge you for that. But if you're a little technical savvy, it won't cost you anything. The 3D maps and, miniatures and, like line of sight lighting and fog report, that stuff's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking at some going, oh man, that looks cool. But my wallet's going, okay, what's that gonna run me? Because some of them might be free to get in. Some of them might charge you license, and then on top of that, you gotta buy meta packs, token packs, and then if you're DMing, you gotta buy, the terrain texture packs or whatnot. So, just something to keep in mind, be leery about. I don't want to steer you away from 3D. I just want you to be leery on it, so you're not going in blind, going, oh yeah, this looks cool, and then you're like, oh, what the hell, man? This is gonna cost me like $200-300 to get going. Well, I don't know if it's gonna cost that or not, but just throwing numbers out there. So, anyhow, that is virtual tabletops in a real brief window. I've gone 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. I think that'll get you guys where you need to go, at least a brief synopsis of it. Like I said, down below in the link, I'll put up a page where a guy will go in a lot more detail on all the different ones, and he breaks down each one along with direct links to each one. So, do yourself a favor, do some homework before you dive into one, check it all out, and make your informed choice. And then let me know if you're new to this. Let me know, because I'm curious which one you ultimately go with and why. Alright, we'll see you guys around. Have a good one. Happy gaming.